family background, where you grew up and so forth, and let's go some of your just later going to school.
Okay, well, I grew up in Milton Mills, New Hampshire, which is about 50 miles from here, over on the Maine border. My parents moved to Massachusetts when I was 10, and so the rest of my teenage years were in suburban Boston. I went to Princeton as an undergraduate. I'm exactly the age where when I got out of college, my choices were go to Vietnam, go to Canada, go to jail, or go to graduate school.
Let me go back to one of the move over. Did you teach much family, parents, what kind of things did they do?
My dad is an engineer. My mother was a school teacher.
Where did your father work?
Well, he worked for General Electric for a while, and then my mother wanted to live in New Hampshire. And so they moved to New Hampshire where, in the 40s, there were essentially no engineering jobs. So he became a foreman in a fiberboard factory. And until my mother passed away, and then that was the reason to move to Massachusetts, and my father joined Western Electric.
So what's after his engineering career at that point in time?
Well, he obviously made more money as an engineer than the foreman in a dying mill business.
He went to public schools in the Boston area. What suburb were you in?
So we lived in a town called Newbury, which is right next to Newburyport. And my father chose that town deliberately because at the time they did not have a high school and would pay the tuition for, the town would pay the tuition for anyone who could get accepted at Governor Dummer Academy, which happens to be within the town boundaries. And Governor Dummer Academy, it's in the same general league as St. Mark's and Milton Academy and Barnes & Noble, those kind of places. So both my brothers and I got to go to Governor Dummer as day students with tuition paid by the town, which would not have been financially possible otherwise.
So something very true on his part.
Yeah.
So is there a subject you were interested in when you were going to school?
Well, my SAT sort of say it all. I had an 800 on the math SAT and a 600 on the verbal SAT, so it was obvious what I was good at.
Was engineering of interest? Did you do special projects and things while you were in high school? A number of you working on science things, any of those kinds of programs?
This was in the 50s. I'm not aware of it. To say that the level of activity available in the school system now is much better than 60 years ago.
What in particular subjects, the science subjects you liked the most?
Well, I mean, the Governor Dummer had, was a traditional, boarding school in the English style tradition, so there really wasn't any choices. Everybody took, Latin, math, physics, English, chemistry, so everybody took essentially the same curriculum.
Did you have any siblings?
I have two brothers.
And were they basically going the same program that you went through? The older, younger?
I'm in the middle of three brothers.
This proves all kinds of things about the older and younger. Sports, any other activities while you were there?
Well, there were compulsory athletics at Governor Dummer. So I played soccer, I played basketball, I played golf.
Strong interest for just things you did?
Things I did.
So it's a Princeton why?
Stupid move. The reasoning at the time was that, I realized I was obviously good at math, physics, chemistry. I couldn't have done anything in the sciences. It was probably my father's influence to say, if you become an engineer, you have better job prospects, which is absolutely true. And so I wanted an engineering school that was a liberal arts school, so that it wasn't just a bunch of geeks. I wanted to be far enough away from home so my parents couldn't come visit, and I could go any place I wanted to. So I was a good enough student. And Princeton, fulfilled those characteristics.
And having gone to a private school academy, was that assistance to you in getting into Princeton?
Of course. Let's say Governor Dummer was an all-male school. Princeton at the time was an all-male school. So my social life definitely suffered. And I'm sure I would have been better off going to another school. I could have gone to Stanford.
Did you consider going that far away? Technology, was there any specific issues that would have determined where you went? Because Princeton was a pretty expensive school at that point. Just the way times were.
Yeah. Well, it turned out my grandmother had left a trust fund that basically paid college tuition for both my brothers and I. So
that was a free choice. You had a choice.
I could have gone anywhere.
And your father, where did he go to college?
He went to Michigan State.
Okay. He talked a little bit about your work at Princeton. What you did?
I was an electrical engineer, and I was a typical college student. We worked hard, caroused on weekends. So we went on long road trips in search of women.
Were there any fraternities there at Princeton?
At Princeton, there are no fraternities. There are what are called eating clubs, which are sort of local fraternities that essentially everyone joins. So I joined an eating club.
Did that provide you with lifetime friendships with people that you could continue to be in contact with?
Yeah.
People in the field here, or just solely you're unrelated to the field?
I'm unrelated. So I have friends I stay in touch with from Princeton, but no one is an engineer.
Were you involved in sports or any other activities? You were pretty much
I wasn't good enough to be on. I mean, the eating clubs had intramural sports. So I played basketball and golf intramurally, but I wasn't really good enough to.
You were tall enough for that time period,
but I wasn't very well coordinated.
Again, you said you had double E's. Did you take any significant other courses? Have you taken computer courses during that period of time?
Well, this was at the beginning of the computer era, so there were no the only computer courses that were there were no computer courses in 1961, and so the university had just gotten to 1794 or 1790, something like that. And so in EE we started to do programming, but this was well before there were any computer science departments.
Did you use Fortran? Do you remember at that time?
Of course, it was programming. That was all there was.
Did you have a particular interest in the computer side of it, or were you still looking to be a double E?
Well,
you had a degree in it, but you were looking to do that kind of work.
It was pretty obvious that to anybody who thought about it. So in 1965, I mean, I say there were no computer classes at Princeton at the time, and so it was real clear that computers were going to take over, essentially everything, and that as has happened, computers are incredibly important in EE and all other engineering disciplines. So it's clear that the future was in computing, and but I say there were essentially no computer science departments.
Let me go a different direction. You graduated in 61. What did you do exactly?
I graduated in 61.
Oh, then I had the wrong date on one of the things. You graduated in 65.
I graduated from Princeton in 65.
Okay, I had the wrong date. When you graduated, did you go directly to graduate school? You said you had some choices there.
My choices were jail, the Army, graduate school, or leave the country. And this was while the Vietnam War was in full swing. And the Vietnam War was on the nightly news, every night. And it was real clear that there's a real analogy between the situation in Iraq right now and the situation in Vietnam at the time. So I knew I didn't want to go to Vietnam, but this was the draft was still in effect, and the lottery had not yet come into existence. So any thinking person who could go to graduate school, that was a wise choice. And this was still in the days when the government was in their post-Sputnik, we've got to catch up in the sciences. So I had an NSF fellowship to attend graduate school. So basically, it was clear that I was going to sit out the war and remain in graduate school. And so I went to grad school at the University of Michigan in electrical engineering.
Did you choose that because of computer science work? Did you have any relationship there?
No, I chose them because they gave me the best fellowship. I could have gone to Stanford, Berkeley, or MIT, or University of Wisconsin.
Your work at Princeton, you had done very well with you.
Yeah. So I went to Michigan and joined the computer CICE program, Computer Information and Control Engineering, which was sort of a joint program in engineering that was sort of focused on computer science. There was also a computer science department in LNS at Michigan that had just been formed. He was in the computer science. He was in the LNS department. So Bernie Galler was there. And so I quickly realized that anyone could call themselves a computer scientist at that time. And so I just started taking computing courses and called myself a computer scientist. And you could still do that at the time.
You did not get a master's degree? Did you go directly to a PhD?
I have a master's degree.
You have a master's degree. You finished off on your thing there. So you got that probably, 67, 68, 66? 66. That was a double E as well.
I was at CICE.